Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Wanted to do another tabletop for you, and today we're going to flip it around a little and do a knife review. Knives are another one of my passions, and this one is one of my very favorite brands. This is the Hinderer XM-18 3.5-inch folder. This one has the working finish on the blade and also on the tie. Has the Spanto blade grind. As you can see here, this is not the original grind from the factory. I have sharpened this a couple of times on my Wicked Edge, and honestly, the way they come from the factory, you can get them much sharper at home than you can when they come in the package. This one has the M390 blade steel, and it has the tri-way pivot system. So for anyone that doesn't know, the tri-way pivot system, you can either run it on bearings, phosphor, bronze washers, or plastic washers. This one is running on bearings, but they're aftermarket. They are skiff bearings, ceramic. If I'm going to run bearings, I like the ceramic bearings on mine. And my reasoning behind that is if I'm out and about and I get water, gunk, whatever inside the pivot, and for whatever reason I'm unable to take the knife apart and clean it, those ceramic bearings are not going to rust, whereas the steel bearings, well, they may rust. So that's why I do the ceramic bearings. I don't run bearings on all of my Hinderers, but I do have it on this one. This has the blue-black G10 scale on it. All the hardware is original from the factory. Pocket clip, original from the factory. Hinderer XM-18s have the lock bar stabilizer underneath the pocket clip, and the stabilizer acts as an over travel stop, so you cannot pull the lock bar out too far to bend the lock bar. And it also keeps you from pushing the lock bar in towards the rest of the scale. So the lock bar cannot go too far this way, and it cannot go too far out that way. So it's different from a lock bar stop. This is a lock bar stabilizer. As you can see, this one has good centering. Of course, you can adjust the centering yourself when you take it apart. So there's no reason for a Hinderer not to have good centering. I love the flipping action. It fires out really well. You can thumb flick it. I don't do reverse flicks for some reason. My fingers don't work that way. I really like Hinderers. They are very solid. They are not the best slicing knife. That's because the blade stock is so thick. The XM-18s have 0.165 blade steel. So the geometry is not there for fantastic razor blade cutting or slicing. You can lay back the edge a little bit when you sharpen at home. I don't go too far back because it starts to make the blade look a little silly to me, but you can get them to slice fairly well. The Spanto is designed so if for whatever reason you decided to pry with your pocket knife, which you shouldn't do, the Spanto has a fairly strong reinforced tip. More than fairly, it's strong. But I don't recommend prying with a knife unless it's some sort of an emergency. It does have a lanyard hole in the back. I never use a lanyard. I always use the pocket clip, but if you did decide to use a lanyard, it's there. Lockup is good, fairly early. This knife has been used quite a bit, so it's settled in. You can see the lockup there. Some people like a really early lockup. This one is still fairly early, but it's solid. Blade solid both ways, no lock rock, no side-to-side movement. So there it is, the Hinderer XM-18 3.5.